Hi there, Dave Rawlings here. And recently we had our event 2 Days of the Blade. The folk from Neyman very kindly came over with a big bunch of small swords to make sure that the event would run smoothly. And while they were here, they took my measurements for this, the Royal Renaissance Jacket, which is one of their premium jackets. And I wanted to go through some of my impressions of it. Now, before I go any further, I want to be very clear. This jacket was provided to me for free. This is so I can give my feedback on it. But I'm still going to be as honest as I can about it. The feedback will go to them, will go to you, and we'll see how everyone feels about it afterwards. Now, first of all, I want to draw your attention to, there's this wonderful story about a guy going to an Irish tailor, and it's in Ben Miller's book on Irish swordsmanship. And he goes to the tailor, and the tailor takes the measurement and puts an extra bit of fabric in his trousers. He's like, well, why are you doing this? And the guy goes, well, you need this extra fabric so you can lunge. And this is my first feeling with this jacket, is that, you know what? It kind of feels like Neyman are taking the measurements slightly too precisely, that they're too snug to your body. And they said that they want the jacket to feel very, very tailored, but it feels like it could do with just a little bit more movement. Now, I feel comfortable in saying that because they took the measurements personally and it still feels a little bit tight. It's almost like they haven't factored out movement in the seams. Now, that's probably not the case, but that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like there's quite enough movement here in the back. Okay. Now, obviously, it being fabric, hopefully it's going to loosen up in time, but I have to be clear, it does feel a little bit too snug. I would like to see that extra piece of fabric just so that you have that movement. Now, I have one very important bugbear with this, and it's a safety one. It's exactly the same as I had with the Titan jacket from Leon Paul. There is one feature in this which is utterly fucking terrifying, and that is this. If you look at the top of the zip here, when I do this, if something comes up through here, okay, see that little fingertip? That is a gap at the top of the zip that I can get to just by sticking a sword in from someone's right-hand side, terrifyingly enough, and that'll go straight into my neck, slip up through my gorget or whatever is underneath there, and just stab me straight into the neck. Now, that's not a good design feature. That's something that has to be sorted, and in general, if you're making a fencing jacket, you need to sort that. This shouldn't be something we're commenting on. It should be a default. There is no access to bare skin through any hole in your jacket, other than if you're doing, so if we're here, obviously we've got gloves on. If you've got gloves, there shouldn't be a hole here on your gloves. If you're doing a fencing jacket, there should not be a hole here that goes straight onto bare skin. Okay? And it's a shame because this is actually very, very thick. It's got a blade catcher. What's the point of a blade catcher if you've got a hole straight through to your neck? Okay? So generally the same as I've said to other manufacturers, whenever you make a jacket, it doesn't matter what style you're trying to copy, you put a flap behind this. Now, spares usually are on top of this, but this is something of an oversight we can't have. Behind the zip, there needs to be a flap of fabric. That fabric needs to cover any space here, so there's not a weak point. So that is a really, really big no-no. Now, the materials of the jacket, however, are absolutely lovely. Okay, really, really, really feels very, very good quality. I've been stabbed in this a few times. It feels pretty good, actually. Most of these they come with some padding. I'll show you in a minute where the padding goes in these little pockets and how it comes out. So, material-wise, really, really good. The stitching is excellent. I have to say, very, very good. Now, I'm going to struggle out of this a little bit. This is one of the features that Leon Paul actually got right, is the little tab to help you take off your jacket is actually quite helpful. But this is not too bad. There's a little bit of an elasticated cuff to make that easier, so it's actually not too bad to take off with a t-shirt. Most of us nowadays wear rash guards underneath when we're training to make it easier to slip the jacket off. I'm sure you're aware of that. Now, little pockets with padding inside, and I've left one piece of padding in so you can see it. If you take the padding out as I have before this, it actually allows a little bit more freedom in the jacket. But again, I'd like to see that freedom in there with the padding as well. So here, there's your padding. Now it's a convenient phone pocket so you can smash your phone while you train, okay? But the lining, very, 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 very securely sewn in. Okay, I really don't feel there's any movement. And that goes consistently around. All of the stitching is very, very good. In the neck, very good, okay? All of the seams feel really strong. So the general construction of this feels excellent. Then there's the wrists inside here. Okay, as I said, elasticated, which means it's a little bit easier to take off than I expected it to be. My forearms have got a tendency to swell up when I'm training, which just makes getting jackets off immensely entertaining. But here, this elastic certainly helps. However, the lining on the wrists doesn't have the same care as the rest of the jacket, so everywhere else it's incredibly secure. When you get to here, if I can just find it, there is an area of about 1 centimetre, 2 centimetres of anchorage here. Okay, so if I stick my finger through like so, you can see the amount of anchorage there. That could be a potential problem, because basically if like my hands swell up, as I say, my forearms swell up, keep on taking that in and out of the jacket, sooner or later that might go into there. And there's a fair bit of stitching, but it's a weak point. I'd much rather see that sewn in so that it's flush like it is on the rest of the jacket. So the same piece of care to that. So my impressions overall of this jacket are, the workmanship is phenomenal. It is very, very, very good. The qualities of the material feels good. The liner is a tiny bit of an issue. The throat is a freaking liability. I am really, that worries me more than anything. When you start putting more protection, this collar is quite stiff and quite high, so it gives you that feeling of extra protection. But when you have that extra protection and then you have an area that has no protection, you're making the problem worse. And this kind of stretches into the armour side of, of fencing as well, that we have to be careful of, is that we'll have one area that's incredibly well padded and then one area that's got virtually nothing. So for example, take a sparring glove where you have so much protection around here and then a hole here. Okay? Now that means that you've got a lot of protection, which is going to encourage people to hit to that area with a certain degree of vigour, and then a big freaking hole. You have a good degree of protection here, nice high collar, a fairly stiff collar which makes it feel a little bit safer, and then a hole here. So I'm really torn on this jacket. I love the qualities, the quality of the materials. I dislike this immensely, and the sizing needs to be resolved. So it has a lot of potential, it has still got issues. I hope this has been helpful. I'll speak to you soon.